I've done a few little things to this thing since I got it. I figured I'd do an update on this bike. I've got my top bag here, but I'm going to redo that at some point. I've ordered a center stand right there, and I just stuck it on. Not sure if I'm impressed with that. It was like a cheapy Amazon center stand, so I'm kind of curious to see how it goes with that. I upgraded to the 15 tooth front sprocket, and I put these bar risers, so they bring it up 1.5 inches in like a 45-degree angle. So I put those on. For one, it pulls the bar back, and when I put my phone on here, I can see everything. I can see the dash and everything, where before, with this being forward and that way, this obscured my dash. It also, to me, for somebody without super long arms, it's a little more comfortable. My arms are bent when I'm riding. It's just a little bit more comfortable, and it brings the handlebars a little bit closer to where I want them to be. So this bike, I got it pretty cheap, but I've also noticed that I think somebody has wrecked it before. The body panels don't quite line up. It looks like this took an impact, and whatever bracket that was on got pushed back, and maybe they got it repaired, but it wasn't repaired well. And obviously you've got this. It drives like a dream. Rides great. I have no problem with the way it rides. I also bought this Chimsy windshield or windscreen. It was $50 off of Amazon. It's kind of a generic windscreen for it. But what I ended up having to do, because this was tilted back like this, so it was literally pointing it right at your head, the wind would hit it and then just smack you in the face. I don't really mind the turbulence. I do mind the noise. So I'm trying to get the noise off my helmet. That's kind of annoying. So I took a heat gun and I just kind of went through here, and with the heat on it, I sort of pulled this up and kind of bent it back so you can see what it did there. And that did a pretty decent job. So for $50, it got it off my face. I left my original windscreen at work, but that's the original, sort of for reference. And what I'd found is when I put that little clip-on deal on there, which I just got it kind of tucked away now just to where it'll fit in my bag, but before this was up here, it basically mimics that, and it's just one windscreen for $50. So I kind of like that better. I would not buy this one. I would probably now opt for a little bit better quality one that maybe does a little bit better, maybe a Givy or something along those lines, because this one, it's a pretty it's a big sail. So I have noticed that it kind of robs your power on the upper end a bit, and it robs your fuel mileage because you're working against the wind with that one on it. So saying that, with this bike, the way it's set up, I absolutely love it. I am a big V-Strom 650 fan. That has been a amazing motorcycle, and I am keeping my V-Strom 650, but it's probably going to move to more of a longer distance bike. If I'm just riding around, this one is fantastic. I know it sounds stupid, but I worry about weird stuff. This nut on every other motorcycle I have is just a nut. Kawasaki put a castle nut with a cotter pin. That's not coming off. If I didn't torque it perfectly, if I didn't get it on there just so, my son put 500 miles on his Hawk 250, and that nut over our really rough driveway basically worked itself off. It essentially came off because of the vibration, and it's a Chinese bike. So I ended up making a new one for him, put it all back together. But ever since then, it's just been on my mind. Every time I change a tire or do anything like that, I'm going, ugh, I hope I got that on there right. Man, I'm scared to death that thing's going to come off. All that kind of stuff. I like the way they did the indicators here so you can see the notches. I like the way they've done pretty much everything on this bike that I've seen so far. The brakes on it are, I was a little bit worried with it being a single, what do you call that, rotor on the front. There's a leaf just perfectly tucked in there. I was worried that the brakes wouldn't work well. I've stopped hard a couple of times on this thing, and it's just as good as my other bikes, and I'm very impressed. I like the little guards that they put here for mud and stuff to kind of keep some of that off of here. Does it have the most travel? No, it don't. And again, if I could change one thing, it would be tubeless tires, or at least offer some tubeless rims that I could buy for $500 to upgrade it to tubeless. I wish I could do that. That's the one thing. I'm just not a big fan of tube tires. I'm not going hard off-road. I'm not bashing into rocks. I'm going down fire roads. I'm doing things like that. And the CB500X, a lot of people use those. They have a cast or an alloy wheel. They have no issues with that. On that the kind of riding that I would do, I really don't need spokes. I would prefer some kind of an alloy rim if I had it, if I could pick. Really, I think this is gonna be about where I stop, with the exception of maybe putting crash bars and lighting on it. The light is okay. It's not great, but it's okay. I've seen LED conversions on Amazon for about $180 that I would put on it if I knew it would work, but I don't know if it'll work. So it goes up to like 2023. This is a 24 model. I don't know if it's the same or if it's different, and I don't want to spend $200 to find out that I got something that won't work. What I'm going to do in the interim is figure out a way to put some type of lighting on it. I've considered using where this goes in and having lights that screw in where this reflector is, or something along those lines. I haven't quite figured that out yet, but I'm going to. That's the plan, is I'm going to add some small running lights slash fog lights, or whatever you want to call it, somewhere on the bike, because I do ride at night quite a bit, and the lighting is okay. It's not great. One thing to consider with this is pretty tight. So these cables here, well, actually they loosened up a little bit. When I move this way, there's a little bit of, it's actually not that bad. When I put it on, I actually shifted it forward just a hair to give me a little bit better slack here. But that's one thing I noticed. It was a little bit, you wouldn't want to go any more than this on your handlebars. As far as power goes, I put the 15 tooth sprocket on it. To be honest, I thought it had a 14 tooth or a 13 tooth. I thought somebody had put a smaller sprocket on it to go in the woods or something, but it was bone stock. So I'd ordered a 14 and a 15 tooth sprocket, and the 15 tooth sprocket for the riding I do is phenomenal. Cannot beat it. It does great. What I will probably do is keep the 14 tooth sprocket with the bike. It's that big, and I can stick it in the bag. And if I ever decided to go somewhere, it really doesn't take that long to pop that cover off. In 15 minutes, I can have the smaller sprocket on the bike and have the chain adjusted and ride it in the woods if I want to and gear it down. But so far, the gearing that it's at now seems to be about right. I can cruise at about 70, and I don't feel like the motor's about to come through my leg on the way out. It's not that bad stock, but it's pretty busy. But with the 15-tooth sprocket, I can roll pretty easily, and it does pretty good. I'm pretty impressed with it overall. So the only reason I'm putting the center stand on it is tube tires. I am keeping a spare tube with this right there. That's a 19-inch, and everything I've seen, if you keep a 19-inch, your front tube, in a pinch, it'll work for your back. You can get where you need to go, or get out of the woods, or whatever, and get yourself some help, hopefully. I did order, actually, it's the tire bars and all that stuff with one of the little bead buddies that holds the bead and all that kind of stuff. The next thing I want to get is a piece of Tyvek roof stuff, or Tyvek house stuff. It's almost like a ruggedized tarp almost, that I'm going to keep in the bottom of this, where I can fold out about a 4-foot by 2-foot piece, where if I want to fix my tire, I'm keeping it out of the mud and the dust and the dirt and stuff like that. So that'll go with it. It'll also give me something that I can lay over the seat if it's raining, or something along those lines. I love the simplicity of this bike. I didn't realize, so my V-Strom, I've got one of those Android doodads right here, and every time I get on that bike, I've got a holder just like this. I put my phone on it, and if I'm talking to somebody on the phone on my helmet, it'll cut me out for however long, and I always seem to forget that that's going to happen. And the simplicity of just popping my phone on this bike and rolling and not having to worry about it, I've kind of figured out that I will ride this bike more and more and more just for that. Since I got it, I got this Friday and it's Monday. Since I brought it home Friday night, so really just Saturday, Sunday, and this morning, I put a little over 400 miles on the bike. So I've ridden around pretty decent amount. And man, it is just a fun bike. I keep going to that description. It's fun. It is just an absolute blast to ride. It's just it's a great little bike. To me, this is more of a, I'm going to stick myself on it and go bike than anything. It's not something that I want to really bring a passenger on, but I can. It's capable. I can actually put my daughter on the back of this, and she's not fat, but she's not light either. And, she's, my V-Strom actually struggles. Now, I'm pretty sure I need a new rear shock in my V-Strom, but this one, I was able to put her on it. We were able to go. I was able to hit bumps, and it still had enough power to pull my 220-pound self and my daughter's probably 130-pound self down the road, and comfortably. I can still go 70 pretty easily on it, and it's just an eager little bike. It's like when you give it gas, it just wants to go. So I did change the oil. I went to Rotella T6 in it, which is just kind of my standard oil that I've run across the board on all my bikes at this point. And my intention is about every 1,000 to 1,500 miles, I'm just going to dump the fluid and change the oil. And it's really not that expensive to do that. I'll probably change the filter every 2 oil changes. So every $3,000 that I put on it, I'll throw a filter on it, but every 1,500 I put on it, somewhere thereabouts, I'll go ahead and drop the oil and put new oil in it. It can't hurt to do that. It's good oil. I might be going a little above and beyond, but I think this motor, as many RPMs as it turns, I want to give it all the help I can give it. But overall, I'm going to buy at least one more of these. My intent is to buy one more and set the other one up more for off-road. So this one I'll leave just like it is with the tires. You know, I'll probably go to Michelin Anarchy Adventure tires the next time I put tires on it. But as far as the other one goes, I might go with a little bit more of like a 60-40 tire, and I might keep it at a 14-tooth sprocket and set it up more for an off-road adventure bike, something that if I want to get a little bit further off the beaten path, I can. But as far as maybe I'm taking this up to the mountains to see my dad, I'm going to be hitting some 70-mile-an-hour interstate zones. I will probably keep this one for that and ride up and see him if I do that. Now the seat is honestly more comfortable than I thought it would be. It's a little bit better than I expected from the reviews, and is as comfortable as the original seat on my Honda Transalp when I had it, if not maybe a little more. It's actually a little bit wider back here. I'm not sure why they did this, where they just made this huge hump right here, and I kind of wish this was 2.5 inches back, where you had a little bit more room and a little bit more width on the back end here. You could actually stretch out a little bit with this coming forward. You could actually sit back on the bike just a little bit more on a little bit thicker, wider place. So I might try to find another seat and see if I can do that, or even possibly get one of those seat concept seats or kits or whatever for it. This is temporary because it's what I've got, or it may become permanent. I don't know yet. So I'm still deciding on what I want to do here. I don't like the fact that it doesn't quite sit where I want it. I may make kind of a platform out of aluminum for it to sit on, with these sort of exactly where I want them, that bolts onto this, where it gives it exactly where I want it to go, kind of thing, if I keep it on there. Or I might go to one of those plastic hard shell cases on the top. I'm not 100% sure yet, but I will get at least one more of these bikes, if not two. I've got 2 kids that are very interested in riding this bike, and at first it was like, well, I'm going to get a spare bike for my kids to ride with me, and then I rode it, and then I decided it's my bike. So this one's mine, and then if I can find myself 2 more, then those will go to my kids. And hopefully, as they, now I'm 9 months away from my daughter being able to drive, and another 6 to 9 months after that before my son will be able to drive. But hopefully, if I can get all that situated, by the time they're both driving and get their motorcycle permits, we will all 3 have a little 300, and I'm hoping that we'll be able to take them camping and things like that, so we can all get on our own bike. We can ride up to, you know, Uwharrie National Forest, which is an hour and a half from me, so that's a good ride on one of these. Throw some tents on the back, ride out, spend a weekend, you know, kind of do light camping. If we want to go eat, we get on the bikes and we go eat, you know, something along those lines. We're not packing in the village. We're part of the camping experience would be riding as well. So while we're up in Uwharrie, we can ride up to a restaurant, get something to eat together. We're not bringing all the extra crap with us. So give us something to do that we would all enjoy doing together. So again, this thing outshoots its cc's by a wide margin for a 300cc bike. If I would have bought one of these bikes to begin with, I'm not sure that I would have had multiple of the other bikes. I think this would have been a fantastic bike. Now, I'm still glad I had a 1000cc Africa Twin, a 750 Transalp, and the 650 V-Strom, and the V-Strom is going to be my long distance touring bike. But this bike, for just commuting back and forth to work, riding with the kids, hitting some maybe dirt and gravel roads, things like that. One thing I do like about it, the air filter. My V-Strom, my Transalp, the air filter is under the tank. You have to take the tank off to get to the air filter. This one, I can pop it out, swap it in, roll. It's right here under 2 screws under the seat. I love that. And, you know, planning to go exploring with this bike, hitting dirt and gravel roads, I plan to change that air filter out more often. I think I'm going to get one of those. They're like $100, but it's like a replaceable air filter. I'm not sure if I want to do that yet, but that's what I'm kind of thinking I'll end up doing. But overall, the excitement of the Africa Twin, you know, you twist the throttle and it was like it would jerk your hands back or your body back. You're just hanging on for dear life. This one, in a 300cc bike, sort of has some of that. It's nowhere near the torque and all of that stuff, but it's so much fun to ride. It is just as much fun as riding that Africa Twin with all the power and torque that it has in a small, inexpensive package. You could buy 3 of these used for what you can buy one Africa Twin for, 2 used for one used Africa Twin from what I've seen. I would rather have 2 motorcycles. I'd rather have a bike for me and a spare, or a bike for me and a loaner, or a bike for me and my kid can ride with me for the money. So I was seriously considering one of those Ibex 450s, and I may still eventually end up with one, but what I'm seriously considering is the money I'd put into an Ibex 450. I'm going to buy 2 of these bikes instead, and just have a fleet of these bikes for me and my kids to ride and have a good time. So that's kind of my intent. I'm highly impressed with the motorcycle. Was not expecting this bike to be this enjoyable, but it is. It's a great little bike. So you guys have a good day. Bye.